Peace, and welcome to the Quranic Remedies, where we spend about 15 minutes exploring a page of the Quran together and seeing how we can apply the verses to our lives. And hopefully, with God's permission, it helps us heal our brain, mind, body, and soul. So today, we'll be reading from chapter 2, the cow, from verses 17 onwards to verses 24. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the great, the magnificent. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون. Their example is like the example of the one who ignited a fire. But when it illuminated what was around it, God took away their light and left them in darknesses. They could not see. صم بكم عمي فهم لا يرجعون. Deaf, dumb and blind, so they do not revert. أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين. Or like the raining clouds of the sky wherein are darknesses, thunder and lightning. They put their fingers in their ears from the thunderbolts, being cautious of death. But God encompasses the disbelievers. يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا ولو شاء الله لذهب بسمعهم وأبصارهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير. The lightning almost snatches their eyesight. Whenever it illuminates for them, they walk therein. But when it becomes dark on them, they stand. And if God had willed, He could have taken away their hearing and their eyesight. Indeed, God is omnipotent over all things. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you mankind, worship your Lord, the one who created you and those before you. Perhaps you will become pious or aware. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. The one who made the earth a bed for you and the sky a structure and sent down water from the sky and brought forth fruits thereby as sustenance for you. Therefore do not assign counterparts to God while you know. وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فآتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين. And if you are in doubt of what we have revealed to our servant, then bring a chapter of its likeness and invite your witnesses other than God if you should be truthful. فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة أعدت للكافرين. But if you do not and can never do, then beware of the fire whose fuel is people and stones, prepared for the disbelievers. Now, these sets of verses, is first carrying on from where we left off yesterday in regards to the people who bought misguidance for guidance. They rather play around and think they're sneaky just so that they could enjoy this world while trying to show people as if they're pious or not. Now, because of their delusions, the example that God gives is like of a person who lights a fire, and this fire is showing around him, so he thinks that the fire is providing him light so that he could somewhat see what is around him. But the interesting part in verse 17 is God goes from a singular, so here he's talking about a single person, and after the fire has illuminated what's around the person, ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات. God goes into the plural, which the way I always seen this is that there are people who are misguided. They think they're guided, And they come up with this crazy idea on, well, this is how the world is, or this is how reality is. If I wake up in the morning and if I scratch my head using my right hand, my day is going to be great. But then this person goes and tells people around them, because the misguided people are misguiding other people. They're all just misguiding each other. But they always kind of put like the person who's talking as their kind of leader for now. So he lights up this fire like, hey, if I scratch my head with my right hand in the morning, my day is going to be good. And then he tells his friend, so this little fire that they're building is kindling around him. And then one day some guy wakes up, he scratches his head, he goes outside, he gets hit by a bus. So the guys go like, hey guys, like, wait, our scratching our head didn't work. Like, this is obviously not true. So like, we're obviously deluded. And that's where God snatches away their light, because an example is brought forth to them, or a situation occurs where whatever they came up as a solution or a way to think that the world is working in their favor, it was completely snatched around them, and they're back into their confusion. Why is my life terrible? Why is my life bad? Why don't I have friends? Oh, I know why I don't have friends. It's because I don't work out. Okay, so he starts working out in the gym. He tells everybody else to work out. He's getting a little bit of muscle, and then his laziness overtakes him. So the problem was laziness in the first place. It wasn't about people not wanting to be his friends. He was just not committed to his word. So every time he comes up with a reason why he's such a not flourishing in life, that reason works for a little bit, and then it just falls down. And the thing is, it's just because they lack the awareness of God. They're not thinking of the day of judgment. They're just thinking for this world. But this world is ever so shifting. It's always changing. Things are not always what they seem to be. So you can find a quick patch, a solution that then later, when your situation changes a little bit, whatever you came up with as a solution has failed. But you are deaf, dumb, and blind because you don't realize how easy it is to solve all your problems by just submitting to God. God created the world that way. So if I do X, the result is Y. And if I do X every single time, the result is Y. But I can't come up with solutions or situations that doesn't apply to reality, because it's applying to things that are delusions in the first place. So that's why they're deaf, dumb, and blind. Now, God gives another example of them where people who are deaf, dumb, and blind, you could find reasons why they're always scared of something. Something is always terrifying them. Most of the people, it's death or illness or loss of things or stuff for people. So they're always trying to play this risk avertment and trying not to get in trouble or trying not to say something to upset people, even if they have to lie, is just so that they could be pushing away from whatever they think is risk. So what the only thing that is encompassing them out of their criminality is God. So like God can send you a single event that can make you blind. He can make you deaf. God is not oppressive. But if God chose for you to be blind, it's because that was the best for humanity in that sense. And let me explain why. And I mean, this is for you personally, not for kids and the results of other people doing other things to other people. I mean, like terrible things to other people. I'm saying that if you had your eyes, you could have hurt X amount of people. So God knew that the best for our world is for you to not have your eyes at a certain time so that you don't hurt X amount of people. But that's including yourself. So God can give you a certain ailment, right, where it kind of shields you from the pain that you could have put yourself into. But here, we're talking about the disbelievers. God can remove them at any second. They don't realize that. They think that they're in safety. They think that they're away from the pain and the torment that could befall them, right? So you could realize how terrible a storm is, but we haven't experienced it as often. Why? Because we have a comfortable home. We have a place where we're shielded from these worst kind of storms that occur. Next time there is a big thunderstorm and it's really showering and the wind is really strong, go stand outside. Go stand outside for 15 minutes. You'll be scared and terrified and cold very quickly, and you'll realize you can't really withstand the power of what God has put in this nature, which is power from Him. So they try to run away from God and whatever punishment they're coming by trying to shield away, like, hey, if it's like the ostrich effect. If I close my eyes, now I don't see it, there's no more danger. So they think that they're shielding themselves from God by not believing in him, but God is encompassing them. He could literally send them a problem at any single time. Now, the other thing is these people are always in panic, because when things are going smooth, they're happy. That's like the quick lightning bolt that comes. So they could see a little bit, oh, okay, that's where I have to go. And then when the light goes up, you could see them like they're in panic. Like, okay, what do we do? Where is it going to come from? Like, how am I going to get hurt? They're always in stress. They're always in anxiety. And this is not always reflective on the outside, because people can masquerade. But this is how they are in their mentality. Oh, am I going to get paid this weekend? Because if I don't get paid, then I can't pay my bills, but I also can't go out on the weekend. I wonder if that guy's going to pay me. He's not going to pay me. Oh, the money came through. Oh, okay, let's have fun. Okay, the money's running out. What am I going to do? Okay, I can cheat this person. I can ask this person. I can do that. I can go up. I can go down. You see, it's like every time they have a little bit of blessings, they move forward a little bit, and then they're back at a standstill in their mind. And the only entity that's giving them this leadway is God. So any blessings that you're getting right now, it is from God. But you as a believer, where you are stress-free, where you know everything is in the hands of God, it's not walk a little bit and then you're stuck for a few days or a few months or a few hours, and then walk a little bit and then you're stuck again with a new problem and a new situation where you can't solve it because you just don't want to handle it like a believer. The believer's world, it's always evolving and it's always moving forward. And you're always feeling in light, because whatever situation you feel or you come across, there is a solution where it isn't the path of most resistance, nor is it the path of making it about you, i.e. arrogance. It's about solving the situation to make the world a better place. So for example, you see somebody yelling at his wife in the middle of the street, right? You can go without like trying to white knight the girl or anything, but you just remind them with words of God. It's like, hey man, don't let your anger be the reason you go to hell. You'll see he automatically calmed down. You gave him a warning. He considered what you said, and then the path keeps going straight. But you were put there for a purpose, for a reason. You were just going down to go to the store, but you were put into a situation where you could assist. Most of the people would keep shut, with their mouth shut, and not do anything. And the problem still goes on. There's still entropy in front of them. There's still chaos happening. And they rather sit back and watch, because they are fearing any repercussion, any pain, any hurt, any confrontation with anybody. But when you do believe and you put the effort in, you'll see it isn't just a lightning strike. The light is continuous. Now God is telling you, Ya ayyuhan nas, abudu rabbakum. O people, worship your Lord. People like to put ibadah as worship. It's much deeper than that. To me, ibadah comes from the word abid. Abid is servant. Servant, therefore ibadah would be servitude. You're walking on the street. Again, you go into that same store. On the side of the street, you see the same example, two people fighting. You, in the name of God, you want peace because God loves the peace. You bring the peace. Now, the whole concept of you as a servant is to do what you believe God wants done on the earth through your hands. God is doing it, but through you. So you're just the medium, and you want to be that medium because you chose to be that medium. And God uses you to do that good in the world. You're walking down the street. You need to catch the bus. You know there's a bus every 12 minutes, 15 minutes. But you see somebody who's having a flat tire. They're struggling with changing the tire. Change it. Because if you were in that situation, you would appreciate it if your problem was fixed. And nobody in the world can fix your problem other than God. God has sent a servant, one of his servants, to help you fix that tire. That tire is fixed. You carry on with your day. You are rewarded by your Lord by getting purified. These are actions that purify you, because you're not doing it for that man to go, oh wow, this guy helped me. You're not doing it for the people in the street going, oh look, here this guy is a good Samaritan. You're doing it is just because you want to work for God. This is what true worship is. This is what true servitude is. Anytime you find yourself in a situation where you can be helpful, you can do it. You should do it. When you get a feeling, well, like, hey, that man looks like he's hungry. He's sitting on the street. He's not asking people for money, but I'm going to go offer him food. If he rejects it, I'll eat it. I'll give it to someone else. I'll feed the animals. There's so much that you could do in the world at all times. But here's your issue. If you're sitting at home all day, how are you going to be put into a situation to help people? How are you going to be put into a situation where you can be helpful? You can go outside and say a good word to somebody, and that's helpful. But you need to be outside interacting. So yeah, I know people say, well, online is a way for interacting for people, but sometimes you are closed off by the actual physical, like the physical communication that happens when you're face to face with somebody. You really do need to leave your house and go explore the world. That's how you really interact with God, because God has the seven skies and the land. Yes, he has whatever's online, but that's just virtual reality. The reality where you can make the world a better place is in the real world. So go explore the real world. And when you interact with people, God gives opportunity and ideas and things for you to improve for other people. So you could hear somebody's story and realize like, hey, you know what? I might need to work hard for extra 2 weeks and then provide this person with whatever he's looking for, so that I can do it in the name of God. Now, God is giving you also here the most core thing that you need to be grateful for. Okay, so when you're worshiping God, you start becoming, or where you're serving God, you become aware of God. So you're doing it because of for in God's name. I'm being fed in God's name. I shouldn't cross those lines so that God doesn't get upset at me. I should cross these lines so that the enemy is at bay. But what is the most important thing in the world for every human? It's the fact to eat. We're all playing these games of work and like hustlings and businesses and which job you're gonna get for one purpose: to eat. And the harder you work in this world, the better and the more comfortable, the better the food you have. Everyone is just working hard to eat better. Okay, so God is telling you he's the one who is providing this food. This is an amazing sign for you to think about. So there is absolutely no one else or no entity that can benefit you aside from God, because he's the only one feeding you. As they say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. It doesn't mean that the medium how you're getting fed is the person that you shouldn't bite. It's the entity that gave the food to that person that's feeding you in the first place, God. That's the hand that you should never turn away from, because that's not only feeding you, it's giving you your playtime, it's giving you your wife and girlfriend and boyfriend, it's giving you the healthy mentality, he's giving you a forever, he's giving you life, he's giving you everything that you have. Now, finally, with these last two verses, this is an extremely big challenge. In this day and age, how many artists, how many singers in Hollywood go around saying, I'm a god of rap, I'm a god of pop, I'm the god of rock. Produce a song where it's really going to explain to you the in-depth of who God is. And you're going to have to call upon yourself to witness like, hey, this is something that's godly, because if they're a god, then whatever they're producing as music, it should affect people. Their words should have an effect on people. It should either push them into more pain, or it should give them the clearance and illumination. It should make them a better human being. It should kill them if the word is strong enough. But none of that happens. Nothing that they're producing as words of advice is actually beneficial to anybody, because at the end of the day, it's not as linguistically perfect as the Quran. It's not as perfectly coded as the Quran. It's not as long and coherent as the Quran with zero contradictions. It's not explaining God's essence the way the Quran does. God gives you the attributes of what a God is, and he's fulfilling all those attributes, and thus he is God. He's explained to you exactly how God should be, of what we need to know as a human beings, and he's much bigger than that. That's what's amazing about God. You could sit and think about his attributes all day. He's the most forgiving. So what is forgiving? How does that apply? Okay, God has taught me with the example that he gave before. He brought the water down. That raised the trees. The trees gave me fruits. Okay, I can copy and learn of what my Lord did. I can go get a bucket, put water in it, find a seed, put it in the ground, put the water, eventually the seed comes up. I learned from my Lord. Now, my Lord told me he's the most forgiving. I have to be forgiving. My Lord is the one who is providing for everybody. So I should follow the example of my Lord, and I should try to provide as much as I can. My God is the believer. So I have to follow the example of my Lord and try to get some of these attributes. And of course, we're not going to encompass them. But what happens when you start learning and understanding these attributes of God and trying to apply them to your life, you get to the point of what is called taqwa, awareness. Because you could see here in the last verse 24, if you can't produce something like the Quran, even one chapter, then you have to be fattaqun nar, be aware of the fire that is fueled by stone and humans. Stones are demons, by the way, because they turn you. The demons are the ones that change your heart into a rock, and in hell they become rocks. And that's why God said that these are like the strongest in enmity to God are these demons and these humans that really wanted to disconnect from God. So with that said, taqwa is something that is very important. That is something that you always have to remember and work towards. What are you aware now? What are you aware of now? What is the thing that's on your mind? What's your preoccupation? Is your preoccupation your work? Is it not having a girlfriend or a girlfriend? Or is your preoccupation your video games? What are you aware about? What is the thing that's constantly... Because if you're aware of just video games and your mind is just video games, you're completely closed off of everything else. And you have tunnel vision. It's the same thing with work. It's the same thing with studies. But if you're aware of God, and this is something that's very amazing, the more taqwa you get and the more aware of God, your hearing becomes better, your eyesight becomes better, your heart becomes better. So you start recognizing more things in the world. You start hearing, like when even down the street you hear a car, you hear it, right? And you recognize it. You don't need to say anything to anybody, but no one else in the room has noticed it. You start noticing things where people aren't noticing. Why? Because you're completely attached with this real system, with God. So you could hear the bird when it chirps. You could sense when the sun is coming out, because you are completely aware, because you're trying to monitor what God is doing around you. And you don't want to upset that system. You want to be part of this harmony, this amazing system that is always in tune. And if you find that tuning, and then you're going on that straight path, everything else just falls in place. Well, with that said, I know we went over our mark. I'm really enjoying these little episode series, and I'll catch you later on the next set of verses. And peace be upon you all.